Okay. I need you to really buckle in for this one. Because this isn't just a family secret. This is the kind of secret that cracks open your whole sense of self. The kind that makes you question every memory you've ever had, every hug, every photo, every I love you. Because I found out, at 26 years old, that the woman I grew up calling my sister was actually my mother. Yeah. Let that one marinate for a second. Oh, and real quick before I get into it, tell me where you're watching from and what time it is right now. You guys know I love seeing all the comments from different countries, time zones, couches, night shifts, whatever. It honestly makes me feel way less alone sharing this kind of story. Alright. Let me take you back. I grew up in a super small town. Like, population signs with 4 digits small. 1 grocery store, 2 churches, and a local diner everyone just called the spot. My family was, what people around there called, quiet but respectable. Which is code for. They kept their drama behind closed doors and smiled at the neighbors. My parents, who I now know were actually my grandparents, were older than most of my friends' parents. But no one batted an eye. I was what they called a late blessing. I came along when they were already in their 50s. And then there was Jessie. Jessie was my older sister. 17 years older. She was wild and cool in a way I worshipped as a kid. She had this shaggy, shoulder-length haircut, wore flannel shirts over band tees, and drove a beat-up Honda with a sticker that said, "My other car is a broomstick." I thought she was the most magical person on earth. But we were never that close. I mean, she was basically a second adult in the house. Always working, going out, disappearing for weekends at a time. I used to leave drawings on her bedroom door, and she'd tape some of them up, but she never said much. Still, I idolized her. When I was 9, I asked if I could sleep in her room. She let me once. I remember lying on her bed and staring at her wall of Polaroids, her and her friends, her prom photos, her smoking with sunglasses on like a baby outlaw. I said, when I grow up, I want to be just like you. She looked at me and said, "No, you don't." And I remember being confused. I didn't understand the sadness in her eyes. I do now. Fast forward. I go to college out of state. Stay gone for years. Life moves on. I come home now and then, for holidays mostly. Jessie's still in the same town, living alone, managing a bookstore. My mom, again, my grandmother, is older now. Slower. Still cooking too much food and pretending nothing's ever wrong. Then, at 26, I got that phone call. My mom, my grandmother, was sick. Cancer. Aggressive. I flew home the next day. The last few months of her life were a blur of hospital visits, late-night tea in the kitchen, and awkward silences with Jessie. Something was off. Jessie kept giving me these looks. Like she wanted to tell me something but couldn't find the words. And then the night of the funeral, everything exploded. We'd just come back from the burial. I was emotionally wrung out, sitting in my childhood bedroom, flipping through old photo albums. Jessie came in and sat across from me, holding something in her hand. It was a letter. "I wasn't supposed to give you this," she said. "But I can't carry it anymore." The envelope was addressed to me. Inside was a handwritten letter, shaky and uneven. My grandmother's handwriting. It started with, "If you're reading this, I've already passed, and you're probably confused. I need you to know that everything we did was to protect you." I remember feeling cold. Like physically cold. My whole body tensed. Then the next line. "I wasn't your mother. Jessie is." I dropped the letter. I looked up at Jessie. She wasn't crying. She just looked tired. She said, "I had you when I was 16. They made me give you up, but they didn't want strangers raising you. So they took you in. Raised you as their own." I had to go along with it. I couldn't breathe. It was like someone had just taken my whole identity and rewritten it. Everything I thought I knew about my life, my family, my childhood, all of it, was suddenly upside down. Jessie tried to explain. She told me about the father. Some guy in his 20s. Not a good person. Gone the second she told him she was pregnant. She said, "I didn't want to give you up. But they said I didn't have a choice. And then when I saw how happy you were, I thought maybe they were right." And then she said something that really gutted me. She said, "I spent your whole life trying not to be your mom. And I hated every second of it." We didn't talk much after that. 4 weeks. I flew back home. Told no one. I couldn't even say the words out loud. I started therapy, because honestly, I was unraveling. I felt like I didn't belong anywhere. Like my whole life was a lie. I was angry. Betrayed. Even humiliated. Like the whole town had been in on some joke I didn't get. And here's where it gets even messy, eh? One night, I got a Facebook message from a woman I didn't recognize. Her name was Marla. She said, "Hi. I think we might be related. My mom told me about a baby girl given up by her teenage cousin Jessie a long time ago. Would love to talk." At first, I thought it was a scam. But I started digging. Turns out, Marla's mom was Jessie's cousin. She knew. Her whole family knew. They all knew. I was the only one who didn't. I found out there was a baby shower for me before I was born that Jessie wasn't even invited to, because they wanted to erase her from the story completely. They rewrote my origin story. And then just went on with their lives. And it wasn't just about the lie. It was the intentionality of it. They looked me in the face for decades, birthdays, graduations, holidays, and just kept pretending. Eventually, I agreed to meet up with Jessie. Neutral spot. Coffee shop. Classic tear-stained reunion location, right? She looked older. Tired. She brought a box of stuff, pictures of us I'd never seen. A lock of my baby hair. The hospital wristband from when I was born. Notes she wrote me but never sent. She said, "I wasn't strong enough back then. But I never stopped loving you." I wanted to hate her. I really did. But I couldn't. Because somewhere in that mess was love. Flawed, broken, buried under years of shame and control, but still there. I still don't know what to call her. Mom? Feels wrong. Jessie? Doesn't fit either. Sometimes I just say, "Hey. We're not close. Not yet. Maybe never. But we're trying." I'm still unpacking what it all means, what it did to me. The trust issues. The identity crisis. But therapy's helping. And so is telling the story. So here it is. I found out my sister was my biological mother. And that truth cost me something I'm still trying to get back. My sense of who I am. But here's what I've learned: sometimes the people who love you the most do the most damage. And sometimes healing doesn't come from forgiveness, it comes from finally being told the truth. So tell me, have you ever discovered a secret in your family that changed everything? Something that made you rethink your past? Drop it in the comments. I read all of them. Seriously. Because if there's one thing I've learned, it's that no family is as simple as it looks. And sometimes, the biggest betrayals happen quietly. Thanks for sticking with me. And if you made it to the end, you're basically part of the family now. God help you.